Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast. And today is a really special day because we've hit 100 subscribers. That's amazing. For me, that 100 feels like 1 million. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot to some other people, but the reason why it's special is because I feel like I've earned the trust of the viewers, the audience, and somebody has watched some of the content and they've decided, you know what, this is valuable to me. I can benefit from it. There's something I could learn. And Dwayne, as a result, we're going to give you a subscribe. So I really appreciate that. And thank you so much. We started YouTube on April the 10th, 2026. And my coach said to me, you've got to document more and you got to be online and have a social presence. And I didn't really want to because I consider myself as someone who's minimal and I don't really want to be in the spotlight. But having a social presence means that you got to do the opposite. So I had to change the way I thought about it. And it was weird. It was cringy. I mean, I remember when I went to China, I was holding a gimbal and just walking around Guangzhou and then different cities. And I just felt it just felt unnatural. Okay. But I did promise myself that I would record a video every day for the first 30 days. And I can honestly say I changed. Okay. I can honestly say that I became more courageous. And now I'm not quite there yet, but a lot better. Okay. And you will see some of the videos from the early days because they're all in channel. And one of the ladies at the Canton Fest asked me, are you a YouTuber? And I had no idea how to respond to that because I never considered myself as a YouTuber. I was just trying to document it. But one of the comments was, Dwayne, you are a YouTuber. And I accept that, right? So now I'm a YouTuber, but more so, I prefer to be a guide or a mentor because what I'm trying to do is really show you guys how to build a supply chain, even if you don't know anything. So what does that really mean? Okay. The whole purpose of the channel is really to teach people from my almost 15 years of experience going to China, my mistakes, my successes, things I learned, different perspectives. And that's the key there, right? Different perspectives. And when I look back, I realized that what I'm trying to teach on the channel is not just, how do I say it? It's not just hocus pocus, right? What I'm trying to teach on the channel is really a framework, 7 steps. And those 7 steps I've used personally over and over and over for at least the last 10 years, okay? Now, what those 7 steps really represent is what I call sourcing fundamentals. Okay, they're principles and fundamentals. And if you follow the 7 steps, you're pretty much guaranteed to find a really great factory. Okay, so the name of the game is really to find a great factory that offers a fair price, as opposed to a fair factory that offers a great price. Okay, so let's take a look at it and see if we can simplify it a little bit, right? A fair factory is just, it's fair. It's nothing to rave about, it's just ordinary. It's okay, right? And they offer a great price. So what would you say is a great price? It's when you get a really good deal, a bargain, something that's like, wow, I can't believe I paid this price for it. So in other words, it means something that's on the low end or cheaper, okay? Now, if you reverse it, a great factory is like something to rave about, but they will offer you a fair price, right? So the price is going to be okay. It's not going to be the highest and it's not going to be the lowest. And that's a sweet spot that we're looking at. And that's what I'm trying to emphasize and teach on the channel, okay? So why is that important? It's important because what we are trying to do for the long term is build a supply chain that will support our business and our brand for many years to come. Long-term thinking, okay? And if we start off on the right foot and build the right foundation, then we're off and running. meaning that all we got to do is go into maintenance mode. But the hard part is always upfront, right? That's when you got to really qualify a factory or a supplier, vet them, make sure that they are in alignment with you. Okay. So again, the objective is to find a great factory at a fair price that is in alignment with you. Okay. So what does that mean? That the factory is in alignment with you? It means that you believe that they are a good fit based on your business values and what you're trying to do. Okay. So they understand your short term and long term goals. They understand what you're trying to do and they are willing to support you through that process. Okay. That's what alignment feels like. So think about it as a strategic partnership, and that partnership will grow and become rock solid. And when it becomes really bona fide, really strong, the stability is there and you're going to get an ROI back from it because you've got really deep roots with that supplier. Kind of makes sense? It's like a tree, right? A tree that has one of those trees that's been around for like 100 years. They've got a really big tree trunk, but they have roots that spread and grow. Now, a storm could pass through, but the roots are going to hold that tree. And it's the same analogy with your supplier when you build a long-term relationship with them. Okay. So when the relationship has stability, then the factory now becomes an asset, right? It's something that will give you back a return on your investment. Now, you're not going to see that return probably in the first year or 2 years because you have to let it grow, right? You have to develop the factory and then earn the trust on both sides. And when you start to build that trust with repeat orders, you're saying to the factory, you know what? I want to start to build a partnership with you that's strategic for the long term. All right. And that's when you will see the factory will reciprocate. It's a partnership. So everyone's reciprocating. You're giving the factory your trust with a repeat order. They are producing and making you a priority, as well as accommodating your short-term and long-term goals. So sometimes you have your scheduled forecasts, right? Your production forecasts for the long term. Would it be every 6 months, 1 year, quarterly, whatever? But then sometimes you may have a surge in demand or you may have a new SKU, but you don't want to do a full, say, container or half a container, right? Maybe you just want to have a couple CBM or 1 CBM, right, of goods, maybe 100 pieces. Then because the relationship is strong, the factory is going to say, yes, we'll support your short-term goals, right? See what I mean? So that's how it's going to ebb and flow and the return on investment will come. Now, it doesn't only come from flexibility, like what I just mentioned there. It doesn't always come also from adaptability. They change as you change, right? It comes also from negotiating better prices as your volumes grow, right? It comes from that factory helping you outside of their normal relationship. So let me give you an example. We've got a supplier in Xiamen, okay? They do bags for us as well. And we've only done business a couple of years, but I made sure from the beginning to qualify them with the 7 steps. And what happened was we developed a really good relationship. And 2 years ago, 2024, when I had problems with one of our garment factories, I reached out. So at that time, I was not in China and I couldn't go back to China right away. I was coming to North America for the Christmas season to spend time with my family. And as soon as I got to here, it was December 20th and things were not going good, right? So I thought, okay, who can I leverage on? Who do I know in my network that could help me out? And so I reached out to of the factory in Xiamen and they said, Dwayne, no worries. We'll help you out and we'll send our own QC people and a couple of our sales agents to go and investigate. Now, It was about a 2.5 hour fast speed train ride from Xiamen to the factory's location, right? In Zhangzhou, okay? Zhangzhou City. And they said to me, it's okay, we'll help you out. Don't worry about it. Just tell us what you need and we'll do it. And I was so appreciative because here I am, like miles away, thousands of miles away from China. And I just got here. I got here on December 20th. And now it's like, oh my gosh, do I have to leave again? Like not even 24 hours, right? But they were willing to help me out. And I so appreciated that. And it's because of the relationship. So this is what I mean by ROI, return on investment. So sometimes it's not just direct savings, right? It's also about helping you to grow your business, support your business. And that speaks volumes. Because remember, at the end of the day, your factory is your asset. If that factory doesn't produce, your supply chain is broken. If your supply chain is broken, then how are you going to be able to sell products? If you've got, let's say, for example, you've got an Amazon store or Shopee, Lazada, Mercado Libre, depending on which continent you're on. If you're ranking on the top of the fold, so you're in like the top 5, you want to keep going, right? Because if you don't keep selling and if you don't have a replenishment of stock, then if you run out of stock, you're going to slowly slip down and lose your ranking. Okay. So it's really important to have a rigid and robust supply chain. And the factory that produces is your asset. So it's sort of like the golden hen or the hen that lays the golden egg. You want to protect the hen. And that's how I see a factory. Growth it, develop it, and nurture it, and it will give you back 100-fold, okay, 100x. So that return is really based on the relationship, and the Chinese call it guangxi. All right, so I call it relationship capital. Now, how do we do that, right? It all starts first with our 7 steps. So over my almost 15 years of going to China, I've gone through many challenges, just like you have, and I've learned from all of them to put together 7 steps or a framework. Okay. Now, the first one is mindset. You've got to really, really, really understand what is your intention here. I think that's most important, because if you don't understand what is your intention, what are you trying to do, then your strategy is, you don't really have a strategy. Okay. So what I try to say is that if you are really looking for, let's say, the cheapest price, then you don't really care about building a long-term relationship, because you're just looking for the supplier based on the price alone. Okay. But if you're looking long-term and developing an asset, then more than likely you cannot go just with the cheapest price. Why? Because if you try to nickel and dime someone, how are you going to feel, right? Let's say you're offering a product or a service, and this is what you believe is to be your fair selling point or your fair rate, okay? Let's just say, for example, it's $100, okay? You think that's a fair price. You're offering a service, $100 per hour. Now, if somebody says, give it to me for $50 per hour, how do you feel? You feel devalued, right? And it's the same thing with factories. I'm not saying don't negotiate. I'm just saying if you try to nickel and dime somebody down to the very, very last, I don't know, cent, penny, what, right? There is no relationship. It's just purely transaction. Okay. So keep that in mind. And if that's your intention, that's okay. Or maybe your intention is to find a supplier with the best quality. Maybe your intention is to find a supplier that's guaranteed to deliver and pay a higher price. Maybe you prefer great customer service. But remember, everything comes with a trade-off. Okay, so what are you trading it off for? A fair price really means you're factoring the factory's expertise and experience over their life cycle. So let's say they've been in business for 16 years. That's 16 years of really rock solid experience that you're leveraging off of. So if they are a great factory, then there's a good chance they know how to solve problems and they know how to solve your problem, especially if you have a customized product. Okay. So for myself, I'd rather pay a fair price for a great factory that can always deliver and deliver on time. So the third point is delivery time. Okay. So mindset, number one. Two is a fair price. Number three is delivery time. You can have a fair price, but maybe that factory cannot deliver within your sales cycle or your sales forecast. Then it doesn't make sense. You got to go and find another supplier. Okay. So after we do that, the fourth one is the production capability. All right. So this week we released a video called how to the right way to use samples, right? And what happens if you skip the sampling process. Okay. People think that the samples are really about let's see if they can make it. And it is true. Most factories can make it, I would think, right? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Some will say they can do a sample and they will send you a totally different sample than what you told them to do. That happens too. But for the most part, samples are made inside of the sample room, not on the production line. Okay, so the production line with all the machines and workers, they are making bulk production. So for example, if your order is 1,000 pieces, 2,000, you got a group of workers, excuse me, could be 5, could be 10, right? Could be 20 on a production line. But samples are made in a dedicated space by usually one person or two people. So that one person or two people, they're really paying attention to your one sample. So you should never receive a sample that's flawed, right? If you do, my suggestion is red flag, okay? You got to really think twice about that one. Okay, especially if it was their fault. If it's you forgot to give them some information, so the sample didn't come out, okay, that's a different story. But everything that we are doing on the channel and everything that I'm trying to teach in terms of concepts is really to validate the production capability, okay? Because after the sampling process, if you said, yes, it's a good sample, because it's made in a sample room, it doesn't always validate the production capability. So we got to do another deep dive, or at least verify that the factory has systems in place. So when you do a factory visit, what are the machines? Who's doing what? How many workers? What is the experience of the workers? I usually ask, how long have you been working here for? Some of them are like 15, 20 years. That's a lot of first-hand expertise there, right? That's a factory that I want, okay? What about your quality control? Who's inspecting? How frequently? What are they looking for? How do they check? Is there a standard available? Right? These are the questions to ask to validate production capability, right? Who is anywhere? And part of that is also the next level. So step 5 is the sales agent. The sales agent is the bridge between the factory and your order. They are not just the messenger. They are the problem solver. They are the ones who are responsible for your order, right? So when you think about factory, I think more than just 4 walls and a sewing machine and glue or glue gun, whatever it is. I think about who is the person who's managing the order, and they themselves, how much expertise do they have? How much years of problem solving do they have? How long have they been working at this particular factory? Those are variables and criteria that make a huge difference, because if you get someone who is a junior, they may not have that experience. And if they omit one small detail, you know what's going to happen, right? Bulk production or mass production is all of your product being made at once. 1,000 pieces just being made at once, or 2,000, whatever it is. That means if one of those stages in the production line has a defect, or from even before, they printed the logo wrong, or it was the wrong color, or it was sewn at the wrong location, guess what happens? It's not just one piece anymore. It's going to be a huge chunk of that order that has something that's not in alignment. Okay. So that's why it's important to validate all the details, especially with the sales agent. If they are not detail oriented, then, right, you will know when you engage with them, right? And a really great sales agent, a really great factory always feels frictionless. It feels like they are just willing to help you out. It feels like they are there to support you. You don't even need to be the expert, right? Because they are the ones with years of experience. So if I wanted to order let's say, a washing machine, okay? If my business is home appliances, maybe I saw a need in the market or gap in the market for washing machines, but I don't necessarily need to be the expert. I should know how it works, at least basic functions. But in terms of cycles and components, right? They are the ones who should be able to tell you that. And if they can't tell you how their own product works, well, I think we have a missing link right there. Okay. Step number 6 is the factory visit. Always, 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 always do a factory visit. Okay. You want to see and confirm that this factory really exists. The name that you're dealing with, let's say you got a business card at the Canton Fair or you're on Alibaba and this is a storefront name. You got to make sure that the storefront matches the actual factory name that's in front of the building, or at the very least in the lobby area. All factories in China that I've been to have the business name in Chinese and English in the front of the lobby as you walk through them. Always. I've never seen one that doesn't, unless it's like a brand new, hole in the wall, ma and pa kind of factory. Okay. So always do a factory visit. And then your next question could be, well, Dwayne, what happens if I can't go to China? Okay, that's okay. There's something called a mobile phone. And today with WeChat, which is the Chinese version of WhatsApp, you can do a video call, right? So make sure you do a video call to verify the different details. And then step number 7 is the Dalao ban. The Dalao ban is the owner of the factory. So now my suggestion is that you always make contact with the Dalao ban, the owner of the factory, because this is your insurance policy. If something is off in terms of time, production, problems, materials, you can go straight to the Dalao ban and just talk it over. Remember, your sales agent is great. They're helpful. But they are the sales agent. They can't really make the big decisions. And so that's why I always make sure that I am connected to 2 people, the sales agent and the owner of the factory, the Dalao ban. Okay. So those are the 7 steps. And what really is that? That's a system, a sequence of steps to follow based on supply chain principles and fundamentals in China. Okay. So now, since the last time we did a podcast, there are 5 videos that we released. Okay. Now, one's called 5 Steps to Qualifying Any Factory in China, 5 Sales Agent Strategies to Reduce Risk, How to Build a Supply Chain That Pays You Back, No More Delays. All right. And then what happens when you skip sample inspections, right? What happens when you skip sample inspections? So a lot of these is based on my own experiences, a lot of frustrations, a lot of challenges, a lot of failures, and how I had to pivot in my thinking, in my perspective, to try and find solutions. Okay. So each one of those is based on a framework, a sequence of steps. And I hope that they can all help you. Okay. Because that's what it's there for. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to say is that when you look at those videos, you will see that some of them have downloadable worksheets. So where there's a framework involved, I said, okay, let me see if I can make this into a worksheet and you can just simply download it for free. Okay. And my intention is that it helps you when you are building your supply chain in China. Now, the one that says no more delays, That's a really good one because it talks about all the different steps in the production process from a concept to implementation. Okay. So there is a spreadsheet that's available to download, and I listed all the steps, like every single step that I use like in the process. So for example, sampling, pay sample fees. Okay. What's the sample time? Did they then raw materials? Did they check for the raw materials? Who does the inspection? How long will it take? Right. So it's very, very detailed, and you can use that to help you keep your order on track. Okay. That's like the A to Z of the production process in China. Okay. Now, it's also filled with some stories about some of the mistakes I made. Right. And if you skip the sample inspection, what happens? All right. So I hope some of my experiences can help you out as well. Okay. Now, remember that every Tuesday, I try to release a teaching video. Okay. And that's usually about 10 to 13 minutes on average. But then what I started doing is that on every Thursday, I wanted to do a hands-on workshop style video for a deeper dive with the concepts that I released on a Tuesday. Okay. Now, the good news is that one is just a guided session. Okay. That it just expands on a teaching video, and it has an overhead camera. So I've got my Sharpies, my 7 different colors, and I got a big roll of paper, and I just go for it and take a deeper dive. So I hope the longer format helps. I know it's longer. It's like 40 minutes on average, or 35, depending. I'm trying to be more efficient and not repeat myself too many times because I do it off the cuff, right? I just go through the bullet points for the teaching lesson, and I try to expand on the mindset, more the mindset. Why are we doing this? Because there's always a reason why we're doing this, okay? And those perspectives help shift the way you do business. Hope that makes sense, okay? So look out for the workshop videos, the longer formats, right? Because they do a deeper dive. What else is new? The other thing we've done is really, let's see here. Oh yeah, we've done a factory tour. So there was a video I started to release behind the scenes at Sarah's garment factory. So I got a few factory tour videos that are in the pipeline. And the whole idea is that I wanted to show everyone, what does a factory look like in China? Many of you know, maybe some don't know, but it's okay, right? If it interests you, click on it. If it doesn't, no worries, okay? And Sarah's factory, I met Sarah at the Canton Fair, and we've done so far about 3 years of business together. And she's a good supplier. She's what I call a medium factory, not extremely small and not extremely big. So in the medium, so a small to medium sized factory, like 2 production lines, 20 workers. And that's my sweet spot because it means that they're not huge. And I've got access to the Dalao Ban, the owner, plus a medium factory offers flexibility. A big, huge factory, like there's some factories that are like 5 stories high and they've got like 200 or 300 workers. They're a machine, they're a beast, right? So everything has to be scheduled. And with those factories, if you're out of sequence, then it's really hard to get back in sequence, okay? And especially if you're a small fish in a big pond. Okay, so Sarah's factory was cool, but why I wanted to show it was that it has no glitz, it has no glamour. It's just in a building, a structure that's in one of the inner city villages. I mean, you see people washing clothes, you see people growing vegetables, you see kids playing around. I think I saw some chickens there as well, right? When you walk up the stairs, there's no railings. I felt like I was going to fall over. But this is China. They do things differently, and I have to be open-minded to it, okay? But what I am looking for, what systems are in place? What checks? Do they follow a series of steps, or is it just random chaos in the factory? Okay. How long have they been in business? All those things. How many years of expertise? And so I think Sarah's been in business for about at least 8 years, if I remember correctly. And she has a really good office, a designer, a showroom. But the factory is located about 15-minute drive, not very far away from the factory's office, which is good. So she has, access to the production facility, and that's my kind of factory. Sometimes the sales office or their head office is not at the same location. That's cool. Just make sure it's not in a different city, because then the sales agent or the person you're dealing with has hands-on access to the actual factory and the workers, the engineers, technicians, whatever you have. Okay. So yeah, Sarah's factory is like it's system. They got systems, right? But it's no glitz, no glamour. Okay. But it's still a great factory either way. And then there's some others that are like, I'm going to do another one soon on Eric. Eric's our cap guy, and they're in Dongwon City. And they've been in business for, I guess, about 30 years or so. And it's a family business. I know Eric's mom, Helen, his dad, Bob. And now they just opened a brand new facility. They worked hard, grew business. They do business for a lot of big brands now. Eric said they make, since their inception, since they started the factory, they've made over 80 million caps. That's a huge number. And they just opened a brand new facility. Oh my God. Oops. Okay, that was the clock. They just opened a brand new facility, and it's amazing, right? So you're going to see different styles and different types of factories, and gives you an idea of what to expect. Okay, so that's all I had for today. In closing, it's always follow a system, right? We're dealing with sourcing and supply chain fundamentals, and as you take a look at the content on your channel, it's all from almost 15 years of trials, errors, mistakes, successes, what worked, what did not work. And it all goes back to those 7 steps, right? To qualify any factory. So I hope that helped. I went a little bit over time. I was trying to keep it to, I think it was 30 minutes, but I might have gone over time a little bit. But that's all I had for today. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who subscribed. 100 subscribers feels like a million. And if there's any particular content, or is there a problem that you have that I could explain it out, then just leave a comment and I will be happy to make a video about it. Okay. So we've got some more coming out next week, and in total we've got 5 more scripts. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I write out all the scripts to the videos. Okay. So I take my time, still old school, pen and paper, and then I put my ideas together, and then I ask ChatGPT to just refine it, make sure my spelling and grammar is okay, and so on. But a lot of it is really based on all of my experiences. So I hope that helps, right? And you can leverage off of it. All right. Until the next one, have a great week ahead. And I'm going to link some videos through this podcast that you can watch that is going to support you, right? Because it's all about validating the production system to make sure that that factory that you choose becomes a long-term asset, but also that is in alignment with your business goals. Okay.